Okay. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the National Assembly of Malaysian Students in America's Career Webinar series featuring Malaysians on OPT. The purpose of this series is to connect current students with Malaysian fresh graduates who are pursuing their optional practical training OPT in their specific fields, ranging from liberal arts all the way to engineering. This webinar series hopes to enlighten Malaysians by helping them gain more valuable knowledge on pursuing a career here in the United States, as well as knowledge on OPT itself. I'm Asma Hanan binti Ahmad Sazili, a junior at the University of Rochester, and I will be the moderator of tonight's webinar. Before we begin, allow me to introduce our speaker, Aiman Ariff Omar, who is currently pursuing his optional practical training in the US, working with McHugh Engineering Associates in Ambler, Pennsylvania. I will tell you all a little bit about our speaker tonight. His studies in Intech Education College before flying off to the States. He then earned a placement to continue his studies in Drexel University in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. During his time at Drexel, he interned at Burns Engineering as a mechanical intern. During the year 2015 and 2016, he served as the president of Drexel University's Malaysian Student Association. And in the same year, he was also a part of the National Assembly of Malaysian Students in America, better known as NAMSA, where he served as the first Programs and Strategies Director of the student organization. Aiman then graduated from Drexel University in May 2017 with a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. As mentioned earlier, he is currently working with McHugh Engineering Associates as a mechanical coordinator in Ambler, Pennsylvania. He worked at the company right after graduation because he wanted to kickstart a new career in the engineering field while gaining additional experiences and useful skills of working with an American company. When asked about the 3 things he learned while his first time at McHugh Engineering Associates, he mentioned that his knowledge about the engineering field really expanded, especially in the HVAC&R industry, which stands for heating, ventilating, air conditioning, and refrigerating. He observed and learned a new working culture at the company, as well as improved his communication skills by adapting to the way the industry communicates. I will let Aiman talk more about the company in a bit. Anyways, we're honored to have Aiman with us tonight. And throughout the webinar, I'll be asking our speaker a set of questions, but anyone can feel free to comment any questions you may have in the live chat box on your right. And remember to include your name and university as well. Now, some of our audience may or may not have heard about McHugh Engineering Associates. So let's begin with an overview of the company, and what better way to hear about it from our Malaysian alumni who is currently working there. So, Aiman, before we begin talking about McHugh Engineering Associates, would you mind talking a little bit about the general overview of OPT?
Okay, it's my turn. Okay, hello everyone. Thanks NAMSA for having me. It's always a good pleasure to work with NAMSA. So OPT, OPT is optional practical training. You basically have a 12-month of work authorization after you graduate. That's for every student, but if you are a student in STEM major, you get additional 2 years. That means you can get 3 years, just like what I'm currently doing. So OPT is your ticket to do your, to work here in the US. And there's also another thing called CPT, which is Curricular Practical Training. This is a 12-month as well of work authorization, but this is while you are still in school. So basically that CPT is your ticket to do your internship. We can talk more about that later, but that's what basically OPT is. And every school got its own international student office. So if you wanna know more about OPT, make sure you go to them and then ask what is OPT, because everything about OPT and CPT is basically your privilege, and you should know about it more. Back to you, Asma.
That's good. So our next question will be, what are your primary responsibilities and everyday tasks as a mechanical coordinator at McHugh Engineering Associates?
Okay, my responsibility. So at McHugh Engineering Associates, we are an engineering firm working mainly for construction industry. So what we do is we provide service for mechanical, electrical, and plumbing aspects of the building. So me as a mechanical coordinator, it's actually like the coordinator is an alternative term for engineer. I cannot use engineer yet because I still don't, haven't take the FE exam, Fundamental of Engineering exam. So legally I cannot use the word engineer. But as a mechanical engineer at McHugh Engineering, I will design the mechanical system that goes into a building, which is also known as HVAC, which is heating, ventilating, and air conditioning. So basically, every building got its own system. So we have like commercial building, we have residential building, healthcare, we have hospitals, we have college, we have malls, we have offices. So every type of building needs a different approach of designing. So basically, it all related to HVAC. So every building needs an aircon and heating, and then building in New York have like winter and summer, and then in Florida there's no winter, so it needs different kind of approach. So what I do every day is I am assigned to a project. So far I have worked on like almost 15 projects, which means 15 different buildings. A lot of times I will design the ductwork. It means like the room needs to be cool and or heated, right? So the airflow needs to go in. So I need to calculate how much air should we put in. So yeah, I think most of the time I will work using AutoCAD. There's a lot of software that I use for calculation. There's a lot of Excel. Other than that, I mean, I just worked for 7 months now, but now I'm starting to communicate with architect, so we get a floor plan from the architect, and then from there we see what kind of space it is, what kind of building it is, and then we calculate everything and then start designing. And then we need to have an open communication with the architect, with the manufacturer, and then with the building owner. So now I'm starting to get more into communicating with all these entities. Yeah, so that's what I do.
Thank you, Aiman. That's interesting. So we're now on the third question, which is also one of the most important questions that we have here.
Okay.
Process to apply for the job, as in applications and interviews, because most US graduates find it is quite hard to find a job in the US.
Yeah, well, it is actually quite hard. I'm not denying that, but it's possible, so that should be enough. Anyway, my journey started long ago. I think before when I started, doing my internship. So I know about OPT and CPT. I think it was my junior year. It's a bit late, I know. So when I heard about that, and then I see all this opportunity, then I started apply for internships. So I think, if I remember correctly, I applied to almost 120 different companies, and I got 8 different interviews. From there, I think there was a few like qualified alternate offer, but I got one solid job offer. Then I took it. It was in the city of Philadelphia. It was Bridge Engineering. So from there, I started to get myself familiarized with this HVAC industry. So I feel like internship is about testing the water, and it turns out that the water that I tested tends to be where I'm heading in my career. So anyway, after that, when I know about OPT, then I apply for OPT, and then I started looking for a job a few months before my graduation, which was in June 2017. So I applied to almost, I think, around 50, and I got my first interview, and alhamdulillah, that first interview, I got my first job at McHugh Engineering. It was a month before I graduated. Yeah, but I started working with McHugh a month after I graduated because I didn't receive my OPT card yet, which is I have it right here, OPT card. We can talk more about how to get this card afterwards. So yeah, that was my whole journey. I know Putri said, if you haven't watched Putri's video session, you should watch it. It's very interesting. I think she said that she applied to around 180, which is, very normal. It doesn't sound that hard. It's all, you build your resume, you build your cover letters, and from there you just search for any company you want, and then just adjust it to to that particular company. So yeah, I think we can talk more about tips and advices later.
Okay, that's cool. Thank you again. So the next question will be, how related is your job scope with your mechanical engineering major?
How related? I would say most of my task is somehow related to engineering. I mean, if you are an engineering student and you watch this, you can relate to what I'm about to see. So a lot of calculation involved, a lot of formulas involved. So there's mathematics, and then I deal a lot with temperature. So I need to design the room so that it can outbalance the temperature outside. If it's in winter and then it's 5 degrees Celsius, we need to keep inside the building, inside a mall, we need to keep it like 24 degrees Celsius. So how many temperature or how many airflow should I put in? So that's all heat transfer. And then there's also, like, when I design a ductwork, there's a fan, and then with a fan there's an air, so I need to calculate like pressure loss, calculate the volume, so that's thermodynamics and fluids. What else? Engineering economic analysis. So when I design it, I need to keep in mind that somebody has to pay for whatever I design, so I need to keep it cheap, but with still a good outcome. So I kind of need to know where the line is, I mean, in terms of economics, because if I just put like a big icon, the building owner will not like it because it's expensive. So that's engineering economics. And of course, as an engineer, we need to uphold a certain value, certain responsibility. So that's engineering ethics. So yeah, somehow everything relates to engineering, and 4 years of school is worth it. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Again, before we move on to the next question, it's just a friendly reminder, if you have any questions at all, you can comment on the chat box on your right, so we can ask Aiman more questions. And proceeding to the next one, when you apply for your current job, was your employer or recruiter looking for specific technical skills or specific engineering courses that you have enrolled in during your time in school?
I mean, nothing really that specific. I mean, of course, they want to look at what you learn in school, but I think that when I was interviewing, it's like almost like they will know what mechanical engineering major degree holder comes with. I mean, it comes with the degree. But I mean, I did highlight that I took HVAC courses because it's, you know, in line with what they do. But I think in terms of technical skill, I think the #1 thing that they want to look, or they looked at me, is my work experience. And, you know, from there they can sort of know what technical skills do I possess, and then they will ask more about it. So yeah, I mean, they will ask you if they want to know about it. So I don't really know if they really, you know, they really look at my resume and then see what I'm good at. It's all what you see to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. So, moving on to the next question. We understand that prior to your current job, you undergone an internship with another company. So what would your best advice be for seniors in mechanical engineering who don't have any internship experience but still wish to seek a job in the States?
Oh, wow. Oh, we're getting more detail here. It's fine. I mean, if you're watching this and then you still have the time to do an internship, then please do it. It's good. I mean, it's a good experience to have. If you know, if you're looking for an internship, please consider doing it in the US, like I did, because a lot of people don't know about CPT. They don't even know about their eligibility to work here in the US. But if it's in Malaysia, that's also good. But please just consider, you know, having an internship in the US, because that will help you along the way. To seniors who didn't have an internship experience, that's fine. Don't worry. I'm pretty sure that you have some strong suits elsewhere. Like if you have an experience in research, that's a good thing. If you have experience in working on campus, that's also a good thing. Just make sure you know where your strong suit is, and then you let the interviewer know that you have that sort of skills, even though you didn't partake any internship. But here's the thing. OPT, you can do an internship after you graduate with that OPT, as long as you work more than 20 hours per week. So you can still do an internship. I know a person who does an internship after you graduate, after they graduate, and then they, you know, it will buy them time to still look for a job while doing an internship. So there's a lot of possible ways to, you know, to kind of start your, you know, career. So don't worry. Yeah, you just know your strong suits, and then, you know, let them know what you have. Show them your best. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for answering that question. We will proceed to our next question. So, have you ever encountered with any stressful situation while you're doing your job? How did you handle it? And please explain the technicalities.
I wouldn't say it's stressful. I would say it's a bit challenging. You know, it's always because I think, like, sometimes, you know, we lack in knowledge in certain areas. So it's always like challenging to, you know, when my supervisor, he would give me a lot of like a work, and then I have no idea how to do it. And then, you know, I got somehow disappointed in myself because I don't know. And then it's not always convenient to, you know, ask questions. And sometimes I feel like that questions is very small, so I'm kind of shy to ask. But actually, they give I think they gave me all the work to let me ask the right questions. And then from there, I learned from my mistakes, because I think just last week I worked on this one project, and then, you know, he just handed me like a bunch of drawings, and I just designed from there. And then when I did everything and I showed it to him, he said that everything is wrong. So I was like, okay, okay, why didn't you see it before? Why didn't you give me the right direction? He just say like, he wanted me to learn from my mistakes, because that's the best way to learn. Other than that, stress. I mean, it's work. So sometimes it can be the best thing in the world, but sometimes it can get tedious. But that's how the world works. So yeah, that's
Okay.
yeah, that's my answer.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing your experiences. I'm pretty sure a lot of us don't know what you've been through in your job, but it's really good for sharing that. So
Yeah.
right now we have a question from the audience. It's from Purdue. He is wondering what the time frame is regarding when you get your OPT and your job offer.
Okay, so OPT, you can apply for OPT up to 3 months before you graduate. So I graduate in June. I apply OPT somewhere in April. But I was kind of fortunate because I got that job offer before I apply OPT. But things, application takes time. So I needed to tell my supervisor that I cannot work yet until I get that OPT card. I'm glad that he understood. So yeah, time frame. Yeah, I think that answers the question.
Okay, that's
So yeah. So sorry.
it's okay.
So because so you can select any 60 days after you graduate to start your OPT. That's what you put in your application. So let's say you graduate in May 15. You can apply your OPT card to start on the 16th of May. So, but general advice, if you still don't have a job offer when you apply, you take the last day that you can, which is the 59th or 60th day after you graduate. But if you have a job offer, pick the first date that you can. So that's what I did. But somehow, somewhere, if my application got delayed, it took probably almost 90 days for it to process. Yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Thank you for answering Faris' question, Aiman. I hope that answers your question, Faris. I actually have one thing to add. So, would you recommend like seniors to apply for the job first, or like apply for the OPT card first?
Okay, a good ballpark to apply for a job is if you're graduating in May or June, you need to start searching at least in January or February. So just start your application. It doesn't matter if you have that offer or not, but 3 months before you graduate, apply for OPT right away. So you kind of need to decide if you want to do that before March, because it's I think Putri said this, it's a $400 investment that is somehow it's kind of expensive. But you need to know, and just once you apply, you have 3 months. No, after you graduate, once you apply, after you graduate, you have 3 months to look for a job. That's the legal policy. But 3 months, it means if you already have the card, and your 3 months starts from there. So you have 3 months to look for a job. If you don't get a job, then you need to go back. But that, and then plus your time before you graduate, you basically have like 9 months to look for a job. So I think a lot of friends that I know, they applied for OPT first, and then they got a job after graduation. So that's perfectly normal. But just my advice would be decide whether or not you want to do OPT, which you should, and then apply from there while still looking for a job. Yeah, that's my
Okay.
quick answer.
Interesting. Thank you so much. And our next question will be, so far, what has been the best experience that you have encountered with your job? Let's say, you can share more than one if you want.
What's the best experience? I mean, all the knowledge that I have, it's, I mean, obviously more than before. I think I didn't really know what what I did in school, but you know, the learning curve for me is like very steep. There's a lot of things that I can learn. And right now, if I go into any buildings, I will automatically look up and then see what kind of system they're putting in, because it's, now I know a lot of things about construction industry. And then the learning part is actually good. Other than that, I think communication skills. I mean, I bet most of us, like in college, we didn't speak a lot of English. I mean, let's be honest. We feel good with bonding with our Malaysian friends. I mean, it happened to me. I mean, as much as we want to learn communicating in English, we don't get to do that every day. Let's be honest. But in the work, in the work culture, if you're working here, you have no options to, you don't have option to speak in Malay. So it's basically you are forced to speak in English. So it was kind of hard, but you you learn from that, and then you try to build your communication skills. I mean, up until now, I'm still learning and just polishing my English, and that's one of a good experience as well. And also, I mean, there's a lot of benefits that I get. I'm taking FE exam in April, so that's also kind of a good experience. And then my company pay for all of it, so kind of interesting for me. Yeah. Sorry, my experience is not really,
No, that's
interesting.
Yeah, that's good. So we actually have another question from the audience. Hi, I'm Shazwan from University of Wisconsin-Madison. Amir is asking about your plan after you're done with your OPT. Like, are you planning to continue working in the US, or are you planning to, or like any other interesting plan?
That's a very good question. I got this sort of question a lot. To be honest with you, my plan is not 100% like completed yet. But right now, I'm looking to extend my OPT until up to 3 years, and then maybe somewhere along the line, I'll try to apply for H-1B visa or green card. But if not, I know it's not an easy process. I'll definitely go back to Malaysia and then see where I fit. But yeah.
Okay.
It's it's a open-ended question. I don't know yet, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't have like a straight answer for that.
That's okay.
I'm still
Hopefully that answers your question, Amir.
Yeah.
Also,
thank you, Amir.
Yeah, I also have another question in mind. So like when you do OPT, is that also like something that can help you, maybe like, is it possible for you to get a job from your OPT, like the training itself? Or is it like, or you're not gonna get?
Absolutely. I mean, it's my work right now. It's actually like a permanent full-time position. It's not OPT work. You're working full-time. It's just that whether you can legally stay here or not in the US. So if I get more employment authorization after 3 years, then I can, I can continue work work for them if they like me, if they think I'm a good worker and such. But yeah, generally, I think this is kind of misconception as well. Like OPT is not like a training. It is a full-time job, or is it? It is a part-time job. It is a job like any other American. It's not like one like special training for just for international student. It's not. It's you as an international student, you join other Americans to work in the US. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. I also have another question. Like, when you apply for your job, is there like any companies that kind of like highlights if you have like if you're like bilingual or like multilingual? Like, is that like a plus, or are you just like
I mean,
having English is good enough?
I mean, in my experience, they didn't ask that question, but I did highlight that in my cover letter and my resume, which is a good thing, a good skills that you are bilingual, which is a lot of people will really admire that and respect that. They don't see it as like a weakness and anything.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Okay, cool. So Hafiz from the audience is wondering if you have any more advice to those who would like to seek employment in the US but haven't gotten any. Sorry.
I mean, what kind of advice?
Like any offers?
Can you repeat that question
Yes,
again?
I'll repeat it again. So Hafiz from the audience is wondering if you have more advice to those who would like to seek employment in the US but haven't gotten any offers yet.
Okay. Thank you, Hafiz. Thank you, Hafiz. I mean, this is, I mean, the advice that I can give is just try to be very proactive. That's the way to get it. It just takes one to say yes. So just be proactive. Try to see where you, try to know what your strength is and what your weakness is. Sometimes it's not because of you. Sometimes it's just the job is not suitable for you or for your major. Anyway, I would just try to apply to as many as you can, and then same thing that you did with applying schools in the US. You apply for your dream job, you apply for your okay job, and then you apply for your safe school, your safe job. It's smart to do that. What else? Yeah, just try to be proactive, and then try to be organized. I know when I applied to 150 jobs, I tried to do an Excel sheet, and with that Excel sheet, I can keep track on who I emailed and did I follow up with them. You can wait 2 weeks before you follow up, and then did I heard anything from them? Yes, and then try this as well. There's a saying, I don't know whose research is this, but he said that 85% of the job openings is not advertised. So while it is good to go to career fair, to go to LinkedIn or JobStreet or Glassdoor, it is still good, but don't just rely on that. If it's out there, means there's a lot of competition. You need to network. That's one thing, and then just how small, how big that company is. Just you can try to shoot them an email, see if they have a position available. You can do that every time. Yeah, because my job, I think my job wasn't really posted, wasn't really advertised. I got it through I think I was involved in this organization at Drexel. It's actually it's American Society of Heating, Refrigerating, and Air Conditioning Student Society. So there's my supervisor at that time. He sent an email to my president, and then asking my president if anybody wanna work for them, shoot him an email, and then I went to that interview, and I think there's a couple others that I know that went to the same interviews as well. And then they hired me from there. So that's networking for you. So try to make it variety your approach. If you don't just click on what's the job site. Yeah, Glassdoor. No, it's not Glassdoor. Anyway, just it's there's a lot of competition there.
Mhm.
Try to use a different approach.
Okay, that's great. I also have another question again. So, is there like any restricted laws that you have to apply OPT just in the States, or is it possible for you to apply it internationally? Like, let's say if I'm interested in working in the United Arab Emirates, like, can I apply there, or is it just in the United States?
So OPT is a United States program. So you can only get this OPT if you are graduated from US college. If you want to work in Dubai or UAE, it's maybe they have a different kind of employment eligibility there. So my answer is no. You can only do OPT in the US.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. So we know that a lot of Malaysian students are pursuing a mechanical engineering bachelor's degree. Do you have any beneficial advices for all the students who wish to work with mechanical engineering companies, or even just working here in the States generally?
Okay. Okay, for applying, I think I said enough about that. I hope if you get an interview, I think I probably can share a few tips on interviews. First of all, make sure you ask a lot of questions, because I have interviewed with like 10 different companies, and I kind of know what the pattern look like. It's almost like they Americans, they like to keep ranting on and on about what they do, what the position is all about, what what you do. Sometimes you just cannot put yourself forward. I mean, sometimes it's just like they don't ask questions, and I think that there was 2 company who didn't even ask to tell me about yourself questions, which is kind of weird, but it's how it is. So asking questions is important. I would prepare 10 different questions in my head before I go into an interview. So there's not gonna be an awkward pause between you guys, between you and your interviewer. And then here's the thing: if you ask questions, and then you know that questions, and then you know what to follow up with that questions, actually you can set the mood and the tone of that interview. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
So say you wanna highlight that you are good in leadership or any skills. So you're gonna ask questions like, what are you looking for in your ideal candidate? So most of the time, the interviewer will say, oh, we need someone with a good leadership skills. We need someone who can go the extra miles. We need someone who are confident, and then someone who don't really need a supervision, who are self-learner, and everything. And then you'll just reply with, I agree, sir. I agree that leadership skills is important. So that's why I was involved in this organization, just to build my leadership skills. And then you are absolutely right about going the extra miles. I feel like that's what makes the company, success with the employers. So it's like, basically, they're not gonna tell you, they're not gonna ask you what's your strength, what's your weakness. sometimes. But if they didn't ask that, then you need to ask questions where you can put yourself forward. And also, this is my favorite question. I know there's a lot of questions that you can ask. You can ask them, what are your daily environment look like? Is there any preparation that you can do to be, between that interview day and the first day of job, if you get it? What are the preparation that you can take? And then after the interview, make sure before that you ask for their business card, and then you send a thank you note within 24 hours after that. It's always like that. You cannot miss that. So that's for interview. Yeah, that's kind of the advice that I want to share. Do you have any other questions?
Yes. Well, before that, thank you for sharing such a very useful experience. Putri from the audience, who is also on her OPT, is asking to the companies that you were on your OPT during your interviews with them. Does that affect the likeliness of getting the job?
Okay. Okay, nice. Thank you, Putri. Is this Putri from NAMSA, right?
I guess it's her.
Okay. I was kind of waiting on that question. I'm glad that she brings that up. So that, I mean, a lot of people will ask me the same questions. I would say, I know it's tempting to greet an employer, greet a person in career fair, and then say that you are an international student, and then you ask, are you can you sponsor international students, because it makes you feel like you're being honest. But here's the thing, my advice is, don't. You need a sponsorship after you finish your OPT. So right now, if they ask you, do you need a sponsorship? You say no, but I am authorized to work in the US up to a year or 3 years. And then if only he asks, do you require a sponsorship in the future? You say, that's up to you, sir. If you feel like I'm a good candidate for this job and I'm a good worker, you can always extend my employment eligibility. But yeah, don't say that you are an international student. You have an OPT, which is a privilege, which is you are just as good as any American in terms of working eligibility in the US. So know your privilege. Don't say right away that you are an international student and then ask them for a sponsorship. My company didn't know anything about that sponsorship. All this company will hear is money, money, money. So you don't want to, don't want to make them turn off right away after your first greet. That's not the first impression that you get. So I know you want to be honest, but just don't. And then this is not coming from me alone. This is what my the staff at my international student office at Drexel, she also said things like this, because she had experience working, helping a lot of international students to get a job here in the US. And then that's just the way to go. I mean, if you are really concerned about sponsorship, my personal opinion is that somewhere along the future, you can always talk to your employer about that. You can even pay for the sponsorship yourself. So that's somewhere along the line. Right now, your focus should be just to get a job. Know that you are authorized to work here in the US, as good as any Americans out there. And then don't feel less confidence about yourself. Probably if you want to do it, you can say that I'm an international student who are authorized to work here. That means I can give you the same quality or even better than any Americans, but I am okay with a lower salary. You can do that. That's up to you. But you know, the conclusion here is just don't say that you are an international student. You can work with it, you know, later. Just focus on getting that job interview and know your privilege.
Okay, that sounds really important to me. So, like, just to be clarified, do not mention that you are an international student or you're on OPT.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, can I add something? Because maybe there's a follow-up question to this. Some companies, just some, they require a US citizen. So I think like less than 1% of the company does that because they probably work for government job or they work with, you know, some sort of confidentiality. But most of the time, this is, you know, US is a capitalist, you know, country. There's a lot of private companies. So don't bother with company that requires their employees to be US citizen, because a lot of companies, they have this what's called an equal opportunity policy, which they don't judge any person by their race, by their religions, by their backgrounds. They just judge them by their, you know, ability to work. So yes, right back to you.
Okay, thank you. Such useful additional information. So we actually have another follow-up question from Putri again. Since this is your first job in the field, did you negotiate about salaries during the interview? That's actually the same question that I have right now. So yeah.
Putri is on fire right now. Salaries. I mean, one thing about interview, you don't say anything about salaries unless they ask you. So don't go ahead and discuss salaries with your, you know, interviewer unless they ask you what kind of salary that you know, you feel like you should get. So I didn't negotiate my salaries, and they didn't ask for my expectation of salaries. But if they do, I think the best, you know, the best answer would be, I feel like, you know, with my knowledge, I want to be paid like the average salary that any other, you know, any person in my level, as an entry level student, you know, just, you know what level you are, so you want to be paid that level. Be sure to know at that level, let's say mechanical engineering, you know that starting salary will range from 30,000 annually to, you know, 70,000, whatever that is. I don't remember, but just know the range of an average salary for your major. So that would be my answer.
Or like maybe for the position that you are applying for.
Yeah.
Like better. Okay, that's interesting. So we have another question from Daniel from Drexel University. So Daniel has a question for Aiman, of course. Do you have any tips for students who are into engineering and who really want to pursue it but aren't good at math?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, like calculus is very hard. But I would say don't worry if you have the passion for it, just go for it. I mean, right now you know, when I'm working in the industry, I know that, you know, not all of them like are really bright. I mean, today with today's technology, we use softwares to do everything. We just need to know the basic concept of it, what goes into that formula. But, you know, don't worry about if you fail your calculus. When you are in a real world situation, you know, it's helpful if you are good in math, but it's not the end of the world if you don't. There's a lot of, you know, at my desk, there's a lot of books. There's a lot of, you know, in my computer itself, there's a lot of softwares. We use Excel. you know, Excel's gonna do a lot of calculations for us. But yeah, if you have the passion, just go for it. Don't be too, don't have less confidence. And then, if you talk about engineering, I think the average GPA in America is 3.2, 3.3. So I know for a fact that a lot of Americans, they don't really look at your CGPA. Especially, I mean, I know for engineering, for other major, I'm not really sure. But and sometimes it's a good tip for your resume. If you are 3.2 and below, or maybe 3 or below, you can not. I mean, it's an option for you to put your GPA on your resume. If you don't put it, that's totally fine. I mean, for Americans companies, because they don't really look at GPA, but having a good GPA is much better than having a low GPA. I'm not condoning anything. Score as best as you can. But thank you for that question.
Thank you, Daniel, for the question. Hopefully that answers your question. And so just just something to add. So you're saying that math is useful, but do you like actually apply what you learn at university, like in your daily tasks? Like, do you do like maybe like, I don't really know engineering math, but do you do like integrations and like calculations maybe?
There's a lot of math, but I would say it's not really that detailed. There's no differential, there's no integration. We are so spoiled because we have everything already done. I mean, there's software that does that for us. But I mean, I'm taking my fundamental of engineering exam in April. So if you want to know the pathway, you have FE exam, and then you need 4 years of experience, and then you can take your professional exam. So if you pass that professional exam, you will have that PE or /IR title. I'm sure most of you guys know what IR is, especially engineering student. So it just means that you passed like a qualification as a professional engineer. You can sign and seal projects. You are an engineer. So most of that test, they're gonna test you a lot of different aspects of engineering. So obviously there's calculus, and obviously there's a lot of things. 4 years in college, they're gonna ask all of that topic. So it's good if you keep it fresh in your mind. But it's you can always relearn the thing that you don't remember in school.
Okay, cool. So there is another question from the audience. Hi, Arifuddin. So Arifuddin is asking, when applying for jobs as an engineering intern, what do employers look into? Are they looking for specific skills which they ask like killer technical questions?
Mm-hmm. I would say during my interviews, some of them, they ask like a very like situation basis. Like they give you like a situation and how do you handle that. Like I think there's one time a company asked me, if you see anyone cheats on exam, what would you do? How would you handle it? It's all that open-ended question. I didn't think I answered it good, so I'm not gonna share. A lot of time they will ask you what you have learned so far in class. They will understand that you don't have a previous work experience, but they will look at what you do in your in your leisure time. Are you working at your campus? do you participate in any organization? You know, they will look into all that, because quite frankly, they look into specific details if you are applying for intern, because there's a lot of you know, people are applying for internship, and then they need to filter. Sometimes you need to have that certain keywords on your resume, because they're just gonna filter every resume just by words and then just filter it out. So make sure you know you know that company, what the company do, and then you just have a certain keywords on your resume. Yeah, I really hope that answers your question. But I mean, nothing that you can handle. This is a thing about interview that I think I learned. You don't know that you have it until you are forced to do it. I mean, during an interviews, like, I remember my first and second interview, it went like hell. Like, it was like very messed up, because you know, I have no confidence. So you know, I didn't have a lot of experience, you know, do an interview. But then you kind of realize that, oh, you have something that you never really know that you have it in you. So you just you know, you can learn a lot about yourself and what you can do during an interview. So, you know, do a mock interview if you can, because that's really beneficial.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for answering the question. Oh, and Arifuddin is also studying mechanical engineering in University of Nebraska. And thanks for the question, Arifuddin. Just we have like follow-up questions. So I know, like you said, do not mention that you're an international student, but is it like, do you recommend international students or like Malaysians to ask about sponsorship for us? And if yes, like when? Is it like after you got accepted or before?
The earliest that I would recommend is during your interview, if you think your interview goes really well, or if they ask that job. Not the first time you meet with them at career fair, not the first email that you send to them. That's absolutely like a no from me. Even if it's during your interview, make sure they know that if you ask that question, make sure they know what sponsorship is. Because a lot of time they will hear, you know, sponsorship, they will know that it's money, but it's actually not. It's just like some paperwork, and then I think it costs around 1,000 or maybe 2,000, and then sometimes you hire a lawyer to do that. They wouldn't mind doing that for you if they think that you are worth it. So try as best as you can not to mention it until you think that you are in that position to mention it, to discuss it with your boss. And you know, a lot of companies that I know, and my friends, you know, my friend as well, they didn't know about OPT and CPT until they hire their first international student. I am the first international person in my company. My company is not that big. It's just 25 employees. But now, you know, I can talk to my president. I mean, because it's very small, I kind of have a direct relationship to my president. I can always talk to him. This is what I need. Just like they will listen. I mean, if they think that you are a good worker, they will help you. Yeah, I'm really blessed to have such a good supervisor and mentor that they understand, you know, what comes with, you know, the international, you know, what comes with international student. They have just, you know, a little barrier to, you know, to pursue their career. But if they feel like that we deserve it, they will give us one way or another. If they, if you finish your OPT and then they say, no, we don't want to sponsor you, we don't want to deal with any of that. I mean, it's not the end of the world. You have that experience, 1 year experience. It can be blossomed anywhere. You go back to Malaysia, there's your family there. So it's not the end of the world. Just go with the flow, but look for opportunity, be proactive. If they don't, your situation, your condition, try your best to talk to them. Most of the time they will listen.
Thank you. Thank you for answering that. And another question from Putri. So going back to the question about not negotiating salaries during an interview, what would you recommend for a student that just graduated with a mechanical engineering degree and they're being asked, what salary range are you looking for during the interview? Yes.
Mm-hmm. I would give an answer something like, I'm looking for around 40,000 annually to 70,000, because that's an average of salaries that mechanical engineering position would get. Because I feel like with my capabilities, with my skills, I believe that I'm a suitable candidate for this job, and I want to be paid for paid what suits my level, and from there I want to grow. Future, maybe I can make more. Maybe I can make more, but right now I'm looking for an average. But as an international student, I would like to send some money home. I wouldn't mind getting less salary than my fellow colleagues, because all I want right now is an experience, a chance to to work with a company, to learn as much as I can learn here. I'm sure that your company is good fit for me, and it's a very great opportunity if I can kickstart my career with your company. I hope.
Okay.
Yeah, just be yourself, be who you are, just be honest.
Be confident.
Yeah, be confident there. But just don't say that, oh, I don't know, you can pay whatever you want. Oh, I don't know, I want like 100,000. Don't ask for something that is illogical.
Mm-hmm.
Know the range. I know sometimes you don't know the exact average. You just want to be able to not survive, but to be able to pay your rent, pay your bills, and then save some. So don't ask for bulan dan bintang.
Okay.
Ask for a reasonable amount, and then do some research. Okay.
Definitely. So well, thank you so much for such great questions from the audience. We hope your questions are answered well so far. And also, we're almost at the end of the webinar here, but there is a last question from the audience. Hafiz is asking, do you think you would ever bring up about H-1B visa in a conversation with your supervisor or like your president? Say he's like the one you communicate the most about, or would you wait for them to bring it up? Also, and what kind of benefits you have or like you look for in a company?
Okay. Most probably your president or your supervisor won't ask you about that. If they ask, then that's good. I think if you don't ask that the first day of your job. Ask that when you feel like your relationship with your supervisor is okay to have a discussion where he or she will listen. Just you gotta play by ear. I mean, that's your instinct. but don't, don't, there's no secret recipe there. There's no right answer. It's just like you need to know, and then you need to be able to lead that questions. And if you feel like he will reject you, just wait. He will reject you right away. Just wait. Just see what situation, and then pray a lot.
Okay, so
Did you say something about benefits?
yes. What kind of benefits do you look for in a company, if there's like any specific one?
First of all, it will be healthcare. So right now they are paying for. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna give this information, but they pay for a certain amount of my healthcare. So healthcare is what you need. If you are looking for, I don't know, there's this thing called 401k. It's like a retirement saving. I mean, it's not hurtful if you ask that. What else? You can know about how many vacations that you get, how many sick days that you can get. Anyway, like Malaysia have like a lot of vacation days compared to the US, which I don't know why, but yeah, that's a lot of benefits. I mean, I I got dental coverage, and then sometimes they can do like they can fund you for any education that you want to pursue. That my company will give me a day off if I want to look for some pursuing like extra education outside, and then they pay for my FE exam, and then probably I think they, if you want to pursue a master while you're working, it's also exists. I mean, you can try and ask them, but it's always good to ask them what, is there any opportunity for me to continue my education? What kind of training that you guys provide? Because I really want, to boost up my career with a lot of knowledge. So yeah.
That's a good sharing. So
Yeah.
I guess that's all the time we have for tonight's webinar. Much for your time, Aiman. I'm sure that everyone who has just watched this webinar now has a better understanding of the McHugh Engineering Associates, as well as the working field of mechanical engineering as a Malaysian student here. So everyone, if you have any further questions for Aiman, you can reach him by email at aimanariff94@gmail.com. But we will also be sharing Aiman's email through our Facebook event page. So feel free to get in touch with him. About McHugh Engineering Associates, you can go check on their website at http www.mchugheng.com. So before we end this, Aiman, do you have anything to tell? Anything else to add?
Okay. I mean, I want to take this opportunity to to just say, I mean, if they are watching this, I mean, I've been so blessed with everything that I have right now. I would like to say thanks to my family, my wife, my friends, my teachers, all of them. I mean, thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your support. It's always, sometimes the rizki is not entirely because of your effort. It's because of the support and prayers from people around you. Okay, so I know it's not like a award-winning ceremony, so I'm sorry. But let me just end with this general advice. I feel like a successful interview is not entirely because of you are well prepared the day before that. That's just one factor. A lot of other factor, it is because what you did way before that interview. It's when you choose or you decide to, be more involved in student organization. It's when you decided to, choose to be out of your comfort zone. It's when you know that you need to maintain a good relationship with people around you. It's all essentially come to that point in your interview where, your body and your confidence speaks for itself. So, I mean, if you're a freshman, if you're a sophomore, to, develop yourself, looking for a job anywhere, it's not an easy task. So I'm sorry if I am too long. I just want to share that, I applied to almost 200 jobs. That means I got like almost 200 rejections. So it's not a smooth and a rewarding process. But just don't give up just yet. I know that before I got a job offer at McHugh, I was like this close to give up, but it's my parents, it's my family who told me just to, wait a little. And then I think at that time, a week after that, I got this interview, and then a day after that interview, I got the great news that I job. So, so don't give up just yet. You will feel like your effort will probably mean something more if you go back in Malaysia. It can be true, but you applied for OPT, $100 on that. You have 3 months after you graduate, so just stick a little and then try to just do your best. And then, if you have, your rezeki is there, you will get it. Orang kata rezeki tak pernah salah alamat. And also, if you are about to give up, it means you are close. So just keep a positive mind. I think that's all from me. Sorry if this is more than 1 hour. Yeah, feel free to just reach out to me if you have anything to ask, or even you're looking to meet friends or anything. And good luck with your future undertaking. And thank you, Asma, for being today's moderator. You did a good job. Hope to,
thank you. You too.
Yeah.
Such an inspiring story. And to anyone who did not get the chance to watch the whole webinar, we will be posting the recorded video on YouTube, so check on that. Please email us or leave comments on what you thought of this webinar so that we'll be able to organize an even better one next time. The link to feedback form is posted in the video description below and also in the Facebook event page. We would really appreciate if you could just spend a minute or two to fill it in. And I guess that's all from both of us. Thank you and have a great weekend.
Bye.
Bye.